One. Okay.
Perfect. Well, thanks everybody for joining us. SABR Chicago, again, we're continuing our ongoing series of virtual chats, since our regular meetings and games and all of that seem to have come to a halt. So we have our special guest on the line, Jeremy Barfield. So we'll be getting to him in just a minute. Obviously, he's the star of the day. The way the format's going to work today, if you've been on any of them before with our chapter or anybody else, there's a chat function under more or however your setup looks. Please feel free to post questions. Jason and I will take turns answering or asking them throughout the day. And we'll go back, and Jason and I will go back and forth with a few questions. But if you have any questions that you'd like to ask specifically, we'll open it up a little bit later and you can ask directly. So that's how the format will work. So thanks again for everybody joining us. And before we get started, I do want to do a little Big SABR plug, since Jeremy, you said you're in Phoenix, and that's the home of SABR National. The most recent publication by SABR, it's a book about the 1995 World Champion Atlanta Braves that had just come out. It is a thick publication if you get it in the hard copy. But I do want to give a plug to SABR's. Yeah, did you see that? Yeah, that's a massive book there.
That is thick.
When the box showed up yesterday, I'm like, what did I order? It felt like it was a bowling ball. But if you go to sabr.org, and if you click on the ebooks tab, that'll take you to SABR's digital library. And if you are already a SABR member, all of the digital versions of those books are free. They are PDF, Kindle, Nook, iPad, whatever format you want, they're available. There are books specifically about teams, like this one on the Atlanta Braves. They have books on ballparks. They have books on eras. I think the book right before this was on the Federal League. So there's a wide range of different topics that you can go for. So I just want to make sure we promote that. So go to sabr.org and look for the ebooks tab, and it's all there. And if you're not a member, there's a cost to it, but you'll find that it's really cheap depending on the book you're looking for and all of that. So, so thank you. So if you are ready, we'd like to open up the questions. Jason and I will take some turns asking a few questions. So if you don't mind, I'll offer up the first one.
Woo!
All right. So obviously, you have a family history of baseball, but was there a particular coach along the way at an early age throughout the system that really made a difference in your game?
Man, I'd probably say difference in the game. The biggest difference, so I had a coach, Coach Marty Gritcher. It was my friend's dad. Actually, it was two brothers. They were a grade apart. And their dad was just super positive. And he instilled a lot of confidence in me from a young age, like T-ball going into coach pitch. And like my dad, earlier on when I was younger, my dad was still coaching. And so like I didn't get the one-on-one time early on that I did a little bit later. And so that confidence was huge for me from my coach Marty. Like, man, I felt like the best dude on the field whenever he came and pumped me up, especially if I was doing okay, not really doing great, man, he just pumped me up. And that's really stayed with me.
Mm-hmm. Oh, that's great. That's great. So who is your favorite player during your childhood?
Oh man, I don't think it's even changed. It's Griffey, dude. Junior Griffey, man. He's
okay.
the kid, always and forever. Yeah. My dad doesn't like that answer, but hey, it's the truth, man. Junior had that swag, man. He did. Griffey 96, baby.
What particular part of his game that really impressed you? I mean, obviously you could do it all.
Man, well, first off, the home run robbery of my dad. Like, if I could rob my dad, I would do it, but I'll take every single year on the anniversary, watching that over and over and seeing my dad's hands on his hips. Like the dude, I wouldn't even say a part of his game. I'd say how he was able to put it all together and just be like an icon, an ambassador for the game. And the fact that he looked like me, like, dude, like it's hard to replace. Like, dude, there was a time where he was a Michael Jordan of baseball, and like that made me want to keep playing.
Okay. It's funny you mentioned Michael Jordan because we have a Last Dance question for you later on.
So nice.
We'll do that. And then I'll ask one more, and then we'll kick it over to Jason for a little bit. But you're talking about childhood favorite player. You've obviously been close to the game, including up to the moment. is there somebody in the system that maybe we're not talking about right now that is really going to be that next up and coming star?
I hate to say it, but probably not. Unfortunately, how it works. Like, if you're not talking about them, they probably don't really have a shot. That's kind of how it works, unfortunately. Like, the guys that get lost in the shuffle, like, it's hard for those guys to get discovered or rediscovered. It's a tough one because, like, there's so much that goes into it, opportunities, how much they have invested in guys, and really, like, dude, guy can have like 2 good seasons, 1 bad season, but then the weight of that 1 bad season carries more weight than the 2 good seasons. Like, it's a tough one. And even me being out for 2 years, like, it's completely different. The game's changed, completely different.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Yeah, it's a tough one.
Yeah, that's the thing, because it's like I remember growing up, you hear about all these players and there's momentum, then some fade away and then some seem to just come out of nowhere. So
yeah, it's just like, man, it's got to be the perfect microcosm of like opportunity and them falling in love with you. Because like, if they don't like you, the team doesn't like you, or a team doesn't like you enough to trade for you, like, then I hate to say it, but like, what good are you? It's yeah, you said, like, a long shot. Like, it's for most guys, it's a long shot. I mean, look at the numbers. It is. You're better off like getting struck by lightning.
Well, oh yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
So Jason, I guess I'll hand it over to you.
Okay, Jeremy, I am going to, on that Griffey answer, I'm going to keep you in your childhood for a little bit with my.
All right.
Okay, and then in the next round, you're gonna fast forward 20 years or something. But you were mentioning Griffey, and it's funny because I was just thinking this morning, Griffey is probably the last global icon we've had in the sport of baseball, and maybe a couple of years before him, Bo Jackson, but a lot of that had to do with Bo as a football player as well, right?
Yeah.
A lot of people today, they look at really talented players, maybe Mike Trout, and they wonder, how come he's not a global icon, right? Whereas other sports, LeBron, Kobe, right? These guys where one word, you know who it is, or just nickname, King James, Black Mamba, right?
Yeah.
What do you think it is about baseball, or maybe even about Mike Trout, right? That these have global icons from baseball like we did with Griffey.
Baseball does not promote its stars. That's why. Mike Trout, if you look at him, I posted like a little poll on my Twitter like last week about like, who do you take prime of their career up to this point, like Trout or Griffey? And Trout has Junior in all but like 3 offensive categories. And it's just because baseball, they don't really want, everybody wants to make money, right? But they don't want guys to have a personality. So good luck. Like, everybody that has a personality gets kind of shunned, or, like, look at Bauer. Trevor Bauer is outspoken. And like, dude, the guy always gets slammed. Like, dude, ESPN just leaked his phone number. They're not going to do that to Trout. Like, but they don't really promote their stars. They don't want guys. Organizations don't want personalities. But you look at something like the NBA, a league that promotes its stars, a league that relies on the stars. You have 12 guys on a team, 15 guys on a roster. Like, that's not that many. But with baseball, man, you have so many guys. Like, you're shaking talent out of a tree, but you're not shaking personalities. Like, even say you're Mookie, man, like, does anybody, like, when has he ever given like something that's like done an interview or something that's gone viral? Like, MLB doesn't promote their own stars. I'm not going to lie, they did a half-ass effort last year with Let the Kids Play. Like, come on, really? Let the kids play for the whole like little league thing and the players weekend. Like, really, a players weekend, dude? It needs to be players general. Like, dude, you need to promote your stars. And if you don't do that, you're going to get left behind. The younger demographic does not care about baseball. They really do not. They really do not. And honestly, like, I find myself snoozing a lot of times. I see like a lot of baseball content on there because they're not up to speed.
Yeah. Well said. Well said. Jeremy, I'm going to take you even further back in time now.
Oh yeah.
If you can remember it, I guess by definition you can. What is your earliest memory of baseball?
Earliest memory was T-ball. I was like a big kid when I was young, and T-ball, I remember I would hit a home run like every other at bat. And so we were playing at Rothwood, and I was like a year. I started school early for whatever stupid reason. Thanks, Mom, Dad. But I remember playing at Rothwood back in Spring, Texas, and the T-ball fields. Whenever I would come up, all these kids from like all the other fields, like it's one of those Texas complexes, like where it's got, dude, like 20 fields, and there's another complex probably 10 miles away just like it, and like all the brothers and like of the kids playing whenever I was up, dude, I was like 4 years old playing T-ball, and they're running over to watch me hit a home run off a tee. Like it was like, I remember that. I definitely remember that.
Superstardom found you early, it sounds like.
Yeah, it did. I didn't let it get to my head though.
Yeah, I think by the age of 4, people had already figured out I was not going to be a star. So, by the way, I'm thinking, one time I did meet Hank Aaron in person, but as far as Zoom events go, you're the most talented baseball player I've ever had a Zoom call with. So.
Oh my God. Well, I can obviously tell that's by default, but thank you.
Facts are facts, right?
Hey,
Right.
Facts are facts.
Now another one, I'm from our Chicago chapter, but I'm also one of the chairs of SABR's baseball card club. So I got to ask you, for our baseball card guys out there, did you collect cards as a kid? Like,
Oh yeah.
Years, and what kinds of cards besides junior that you'd put in the good pile?
Oh man, I had the binders. I had them all. The Fleer, the Donruss, the Tops. Dude, I had them all. Upper Deck. God, rest in peace to all those good ones. You know, I had the ones with the stale gum in it. Like, you name it. I remember I had like a whole box, dude. I got so many Wally Joiners in this box. It made no sense, dude. I had like 2 pages, and it was like 9 cards per page of Wally Joyner. Like, what the heck am I going to do with 18 Wallies? Like, I had cards, though. No clue what happened to them. Somebody probably has them or made money off of them, but I don't have them.
Yeah, back then, those 2 pages of Wally Joiners, those could have been your kid's college fund later on, right? But,
No kidding.
Yeah,
No kidding.
yeah, the Wally Joiners went down a little bit in value, and college got a lot more expensive. So,
I know.
Right.
Bill, let me hand it back to you for a few more.
Yeah,
Do a few,
absolutely. You know what? I was actually going to jump over to the chat.
Okay.
Ryan had a question. You know, earlier you were talking about baseball doesn't promote their players with personalities, but how do we get young people to care about the game again? I know obviously we did growing up, and continues to be my favorite sport, but if the game isn't connecting with the youth, what are we going to do? How do you see us doing that?
Man, it starts with who's at the top. Honestly, it starts with dude, even the union, even like being in a meeting and listening to Tony Clark, dude, like like, dude, come on, give me a break, dude. Nobody cares. And by the way, dude, I got some good tidbits about that meeting from a couple years ago, but that's for a later time. But dude, it like, man, like, these people are out of touch. Nobody, like, these people are just out of touch. You have to understand what appeals to kids. Like, a pitch clock isn't going to appeal to people whose attention spans are lower. Like, it doesn't matter about, like, say, a pitch clock. Like, they're starting to understand that, like, hey, let them wear whatever cleats they want. Like, that's what the younger generation wants to see. Individuality, and they want to have customization. The fact that they used to have the uniform police saying you had to have 51% of your team's primary color and it can't be arranged a certain way. Like, dude, screw that. That's so lame. Like, no wonder why like younger kids don't care. When you see NBA guys on the court with mismatched shoes, like, who cares? Like, who cares? And they just have to figure out a way to modernize the game. I understand the whole thing. They want to go with, like, umpires. They're going to test out robotic. That's not going to work. That's not going to work. They're trying to make the game younger with players because they're more expendable parts. So, like, they can just replace these younger guys. Well, you know what? You still have these old heads in charge doing it the old way. Like, you're going to need to bring some youth into baseball. We're talking about the decision makers, not just the people paying the bills.
Sure. Okay. Well, let's talk about your game a little bit.
Black of.
Yeah. Well, so, like, when all of us growing up have played the game to a certain level. You know, I ended up with high school and Pony League, and I knew I was done. I remember when they had tryouts for for the baseball team at Elmhurst College, I was just like, you know what? I don't quite look like them or run like them or hit like them. So I knew I was done. But obviously you've played at basically every level of the game. What differences in your game or what aspects of your game needed to change that you knew you were ready to take that next step?
One of the big things for me was what helped me at the plate. Because remember, I pitched too, but what helped me the most was just my plate discipline, and my plate discipline. But that came just with time and just at bats, and like that doesn't happen over.
Oh. Did that lock up?
I can hear you, Bill, but I wonder if Jeremy froze a little bit.
Yeah, I think that happened there. So.
All right, well, we'll stand by. These things happen.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, everybody, please stand by.
All right. Yeah. Technical difficulties. So.
Yeah. So, folks in the audience, keep putting in your chat, but save some as well to ask Jeremy directly. We'll get you off mute in the latter half. I love it. He's bringing it today, though.
Right. Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, just to get where I was kind of going with my question of kind of knowing the differences, it's just all of a sudden when I'm at bat and some of the speeds that I was facing with certain pitchers, I'm like, okay, well, I could hit that guy, I can hit that guy, and whatever. And then, wow, that was a little more movement than I've ever seen before in a pitch, or that breezed by, I'm not quite sure I saw it, or just running down to first. I'm like, I used to leg that out in Little League, and now in high school, it's not quite the same. So
I can tell you when it was time for me to hang them up was, oh, they're throwing it overhand to me?
Right. Oh, they moved the tee? Where is that? So.
Okay. All right. Well, we sure hope that Jeremy rejoins.
Does Jim, do you have a question?
Yeah.
Review
for us, because I haven't looked this up recently. How high of a level did Jeremy get to play? Did he ever make it to the major leagues? And if so, how long and what's his background?
I believe AAA.
Yeah,
was the top level for him. I don't have the.
He was a pitcher.
Oh wait, I think we have him back.
He's back. He's on mute. Let me un.
Jeez, my internet just went out. My goodness, sorry about that, guys.
No.
We are good. Thanks for rejoining, though.
That was nuts.
I told my whole baseball story in that time. So,
yeah.
Right? My playing career
apologize.
is over, so. No. So actually, if you want to go pick up where you left off there.
Shoot, I just freaking lost my train of thought when I saw everybody freeze. I was like, uh-oh. Phone bill. Yeah, Ryan, I paid my phone bill. This is internet. I don't know where you are, but my monopoly, the monopoly here, man, it's good luck.
Well, we all got to hear Bill tell his baseball stories, and only like 7 people hung up.
Right.
While Bill was talking. But now Bill was asking like what kinds of adjustments you had to make.
Oh yeah, so
for each level along the way.
Yeah, so really was just plate discipline and learning when to be aggressive and when to be more selective at the plate. Because like for me, only thing that mattered is what I did at the plate. All the damage I did, like dude, the defense for me was an added bonus. The fact that my big ass could play outfield was just an added bonus. So everything was important. Like it was important for me to just rip the cover off the ball and when I got my pitch, not to miss it. And when I was younger, I missed it more. And when I got older, I figured out how to crush that sucker. That was the adjustment I made. It was just being more selective and capitalizing more on my opportunities at the plate.
Sure. Well, Jim, I know you were unmuted right there and you were about to ask a question. So why don't you have the floor right there?
Well, you talking about what I just talked to you about Jeremy's, what level he played at?
Yeah, if you could just maybe explain like the highest level, because you played everywhere and you said you made it to AAA. So
yeah, I just wanted to know what various levels that he played at.
I got all the way up to AAA. I played AAA with the A's, Rockies, and Red Sox. Yeah, no, that's the highest I got. I played parts of. I don't even remember. I've been across I played on 5 teams one year. I've been everywhere. Played in Mexico, Venezuela, Dominican,
Canada.
Canada. That started my career in Vancouver. Oh my goodness, that wasn't fair. But yeah, baseball took me everywhere across every level except the big leagues. The closest I got was in spring training, big league camp in 18 with Boston. I had an outside shot of making the team, and then they signed JD Martinez, and I had no shot of making the team.
Well, maybe one more question for me before I hand it over again. But obviously, you played in King County with the Cougars, and they're just to the west of us out here. So that's really our local minor league team. Is there any particular story about your time there that stands out?
Oh yeah. Okay. So it was a July 4th game, and we were playing against Peoria, and at the time it was the Cubs, and so they had, oh my God, was it remember Reed Johnson, outfielder? So he was rehabbing, and so was Aramis Ramirez was rehabbing. So they batted 1-2 in the lineup, and we were playing at home, and obviously it was like it was basically a home game for the Cubs, and it was July 4th. We had over 16,000 people. 16,000 people, standing room only. And this is like, dude, this is when like we realized where we were. This was also my first full season. It was nuts, dude. Best atmosphere I'd played in to date. And then after the game, we had room temperature hot dogs for our food. Room temperature hot dog. I was like, yep. Room temperature hot dogs. That was it. Like, that was my best memory from that. And like, whatever. I don't care. I was like 20. Who cares? Like, whatever. Like, yeah,
you
room
made
temperature.
The big time with those hot dogs.
I know I made the okay time.
Awesome.
But also that one, and then I also had a 3-homer game. It was in I want to say it was in May, because I missed pretty much first month of the season with a stupid hamstring injury in spring training. Thanks, Tim Garland, stupid coach. Anyways, I had 3 home runs in the game. I come up. I was 3 for 3 with a homer and a walk, and I come up for my 4th at bat, and I crush one dead center, dude, center fielder. Remember Little Big League, the movie? Center fielder, Little Big League me.
Wow.
And he brought it back. We were playing against the Burlington Bees. They were the Royals at the time. Hosmer was on that team. I remember that. Dead center, brings it back. Would have been my 4th home run of the game, and my fifth and 5 at bats.
Oh wow.
Yep, and he brought it back. Yep, and it ruined my career. I remember that like it was yesterday, and it was 11 years ago.
Wow. Okay. Well, Jason, if you want to.
Yeah. So let me, I already gave you your Jeremy as a kid questions. Now I'm going to give you, exactly where Jeremy, the adult, the ball player. So you mentioned the different countries you played in. You played all over the United States as well. Aside from just the team itself, like what were a couple of your favorite places to live and places, favorite places in the world to get to know?
Ooh, man, I got to start right away with Vancouver.
Okay.
Vancouver was unbelievable. That's where I started my career. Like, they sent me straight there. And I was 19, and that was a drinking age in British Columbia. So that was phenomenal. I got to learn responsibility very, very quickly, which, I mean, I did. Like, it was kind of nice. And then I was the boring guy whenever we went back stateside. But yeah, definitely Vancouver's up there. Sacramento was up there for me. I loved playing in Sacramento. That's a big league city. It really is. Also Portland, Maine, when I was with the Sea Dogs, it's hard to beat that place in the summer. Like, being able to we went whale watching one day, my wife and I. Like, that's pretty awesome. Go whale watching. Like baseball took me all these really awesome places. Like, I'm so grateful. I got to play in Cancun one year.
Yeah.
Los Tigres de Quintana Roo. Yeah.
I was checking out your record, and I saw Quintana Roo, and I was like, wait a minute, he was probably living in Cancun.
Yeah, I was. It wasn't the Cancun you're thinking about.
No.
They put all the big name guys in the nice resorts, dude. They put me in some shack La Quinta that was in the actual city. Oh,
That's
man.
where I stayed when I went. But yeah, so let me ask you this. It's funny. My next question was going to be, and it sounds like you really enjoyed a lot of the places you got to live, but you also touched on the living conditions. A lot of talk now about in the minor leagues. The pay is barely enough to live on. So you put in.
You could eliminate barely.
Yeah. Okay.
You
There you
could
go.
eliminate barely. It's
So
not enough.
let
Not
me
enough
ask
to
you
live on.
this. You put 10, 11 years into professional baseball. You came extremely close. You came as close as you could get to the big leagues, but didn't quite make it. If you had to do it all over again, would you live those same 10, 11 years again, or say no big leagues? Okay, never mind. Let me go into something totally different than baseball.
Man, if I could do it all over again, I would have just started streaming video games during my career, so then I could have transitioned it that quicker. Honestly, I'm grateful for it, dude. I got to play professional baseball throughout my entire 20s. Like, I'm so grateful for that. Like, was it a job and did it suck a lot of the times? Well, yeah, but like, so does everything else. And most of my friends were doing something that sucked a lot more. So I really couldn't complain about it. I knew what I was getting into. My last name's Barfield. Let's be real, like, I knew what I was getting into. I enjoyed the ride. I didn't enjoy every step of the process, but I also enjoyed being able to play baseball and that financing my video games. And it being the reason I met my wife.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I can't leave that out.
Okay. All right. That's a win. That's a big win. And then, I think maybe before we throw it to the audience, my last one, I think like most of us, now you're in Phoenix. I dig the backdrop in your room here, but
Appreciate it.
you've probably been stuck at home like the rest of us. Tell me what's in the Netflix queue these days.
Oh man, I finally gave in. I'm not a big Netflix guy, believe it or not. The one thing I have watched, and you know what? The hype was real, was Tiger King.
Okay.
It was good. It was good. It was entertaining. That's what I'm gonna say. It was entertaining. I was like, all right, everybody, I waited like a month and I was like, all right, let's see. And then 4 episodes in, I was like, where did the time go? So yeah, that was it. Like I will say this, most of the time that most people spend like binging something on Netflix, dude, I got my freaking controller out and I'm gaming. I'm ruining 12-year-olds' days. Yeah.
Beautiful. So I think let's do this. I think at this point, I know a lot of things have shown up in the chat, but if Bill, I don't know, do you want to scoop up stuff from the chat or just?
Yeah, I could do that. Absolutely.
Okay. All right. Why don't you take some out of the chat and then we'll go live. So fantastic. And Jeremy, thank you so much for this, by the way.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, you guys are great.
Yeah, thanks for doing this. Well, one question from the chat: what was the single greatest team that you played on, any level?
Ooh. Okay, that's a tough one. I can think of one, and it was only the first half when I was in Kane. I could think of two. The first half of the season in Kane County in 2009, we had like 6 all-stars. Actually, Grant Desmay was on my team. I don't know if you know that name. The Grant Desmay was the guy. He was on Dan Patrick. You need to look up this name. I think he goes by Father Matthew now. Desme. He was drafted, I think, first or second round out of Cal Poly. He was an outfielder. He got injured basically the first 2 years of his career. And then whenever he started the 2009 season, he started out like 0 for 27 with 24 strikeouts. He ended that season hitting 280 something. He had 30, he went like 30-30. He went like 30 homers or 35 homers and 30 bags. Like, he didn't even get thrown. It was something ridiculous. And then he ended up at the second half of the season, he goes up to the Cal League. And, oh man, I can't wait to answer that question from Michael. It's not just Class A ball, by the way. But so Grant went to the Cal League and tore that up in the second half, went to the Arizona Fall League, hit 10 home runs in the first 12 games, was the MVP of the Rising Stars or whatever the heck it was back then. This was like a decade ago. And then, no, it wasn't. It was 11 years ago. And and then he retired in the off season to become a priest.
Wow.
Yep. Retired in the off season to become a priest. And then the best part is, like, so we saw him the next year. He's from Bakersfield, California, and he came to see us the next year right before he went off to the seminary. And he had lost like he wasn't working out, so he had lost like a ton of weight. He was just wearing these thick like glasses and stuff. Didn't even recognize him. Like, that was he was the best player I've ever played with, and our team was so stacked. In 2009, it was a tie between that, and in 2013, when I was in Sacramento, we had 5 guys who the A's drafted in the first round on that team: James Simmons, Grant Green, Jemiah Weeks, Michael Choice, and Sonny Gray. All on that team. 5 guys they drafted in the first round, all on one team. Like, you won't really see that.
Wow.
Yeah, and the funny thing is, none of them really contributed to the A's in the big leagues. Like, obviously Sonny did, but like not like they should have.
Sure.
Like, they traded them all off before they had a chance.
Oh, wow.
Except for Sonny,
Of course, yeah.
And then they ended up just trading him. So yeah.
Right. Yeah. Well, Lorraine asked the question, given the background and just what you've been sharing right now, is there a book in your future talking about baseball stories, baseball memories?
Yeah, absolutely, dude. Just a bunch of blurbs, and it's gonna be. I'm gonna be pretty honest. Like, I wouldn't say it'll burn bridges, because I don't care. Like, I'm out of the game. I'm doing my own thing. But like, I'm not gonna go full on Canseco juice. But like, it's the truth. It's the truth. Like, stuff that I lived, and the game gets kind of gritty, it gets interesting, but it's something I'm working on, that, compiling all of my stories, and some of them are quite compelling. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah. Well, people are chiming in and can't wait to see that book come out. So, well, you mentioned Michael's question, so I want to ask that. Is life in Class A still long bus rides, small towns, late nights, and bad motels?
Dude, life in AAA is that if you play in the International League. Like, dude, that's life in general in the minor leagues. Like, that's just in general. The hotels have gotten better. The food's gotten better because organizations are investing in it. But yeah, a lot of bad towns. The higher you go, the better off your towns are. But certain leagues have just crappier towns, and certain teams just play in crappier affiliates. That's how it is. And yes, it is absolutely the same. It's not as bad. I will say playing in AAA was a lot better than when I played in low A and had to deal with Clinton, Iowa, where the town smelled like dog food. Like, you get to stay in DoubleTrees instead of like Motel 6s or Red Roof Inns. It changes. It varies.
I'm hoping there was a dog food plant there, right? That's what it was?
You know what? I think it had something to do with corn. I mean, dude, we're in the butt crack of Iowa, so I don't know.
Well, do you think it's time to open it up and let people fire away with questions?
Yeah, I think so. Let me just say, Rich Ray, if you watch the recording of this, man, no disrespect to Iowa.
Hey, I played in Clinton, and I played in Beloit, and I played in, I think it was Burlington, dude. The disrespect was intended to those 3 places. What was it, Davenport? Yeah, dude. Hey, I mean it, dude. I mean it. I've been there in 11 years. I hope it's better, but that place sucked.
All right.
Well,
folks online, take yourself off mute. Jeremy's probably the best interview we've ever had. So ask away, man.
Apparently, ask
Appreciate it.
anything. Yeah.
Literally, ask me anything.
Yeah. No need to raise your hand. Just unmute and ask.
Yeah. What's up, Jim?
Yeah, Jeremy, with the pandemic and everything, it looks like there's not going to be any minor league baseball played this summer at all. That's what I'm hearing. We're in Columbus, Ohio, which is AAA, and
oh yeah,
it doesn't look like they're going to play any ball. What do you see as the future of minor league ball, especially with the cutbacks that they're saying, you know, they were gonna drop 40 teams anyhow.
Yep, exactly.
Now-
So
now
they're
what?
going to use it. They're going to use COVID as a reason to contract the minor leagues. They're using it as also a reason to contract the draft. Teams don't want to spend money. They don't. And like, I get it. The draft is way too many players. This year's messed up anyways. Like, dude, you have all these guys that didn't really get scouted, high school, college guys that didn't get scouted really because they didn't have a season. So now you have all these guys that are draft eligible. Who the heck's going to draft them? You saw that BS proposal that they tried to implement for the draft. Like, good luck. Yeah, that was garbage, man. Like, minor leagues, I think, is as we know it. I think it's done. There are too many leagues. You don't need all these levels of A ball, but you're gonna have to start with the draft, and that's what, like, you don't need those levels. And I really think they're really gonna use COVID as a reason to just expedite this whole process, unfortunately. And I know you said you're from Columbus. I actually played one of my last games in Columbus in a blizzard. Adam Rosales, Rusney Castillo, the richest man in the minor leagues, was playing center. I was in left. Literally, it was dollar hot dog night. That's why we played. The Blue Jackets were playing a playoff game too, so nobody was at our game. And I went for a ball. Rusney was weighed down by all his gold chains, his dookie roll. So I had to try to go make a play. And dude, 6'5", 245, don't move that well in 25 degrees. Long story short, I went for it. Adam Rosales got it inside the Parker, and his trot was the same as if he hit it over the fence.
By the way, it was Dime a Dog. They still have
I'm a dog. That explains why there's 10 people there. Oh, that's too funny. Yeah, it's just tough though. Like, the minor leagues, they need to do something about it. Like, and I hate to say it, but a lot of the minor leagues is just nostalgia, like people holding on to, you know, something from the past. And if the game's going to grow, they're going to have to just tweak and adjust the minor leagues. I hate to say it, because I mean, you're paying to see a lot of guys play that are never going to get to the big leagues, myself included.
All right. Who else out there?
Yeah. Any other questions? Feel free to ask directly.
Oh, teams and owners. Wow, Lorraine. Oh, that's funny. I just saw her question pop up. Said teams and owners need to invest money in the minors. The funny thing is, I got to bring this up. You know, the teams were so quick to talk about how they were going to pay all of the stadium workers. And it took them 6 weeks after the first teams and all, like Major League Baseball, declared that they were going to pay all the stadium workers. It took them 6 weeks to figure out what they were going to do with minor leaguers. What do they call us? You know, the class action lawsuit, they got thrown out because we're technically called paid interns. That's how they got out of it. We're paid interns. That's how they could legally pay guys less than minimum wage. Paid interns. So if it's paid interns, then technically it's optional. Guys shouldn't have to be required to be there all those hours. But hey, I digress. But if they contract the minor leagues a little bit, you can afford to pay guys. Well, they can always afford to pay guys, but they'll be more willing to pay guys more.
One of the questions from the chat from Ryan, did you ever have any memorable experiences with fans?
Oh, absolutely. Oh, so many. And most of them were hecklers, dude. Like, I love cheering, but dude, I love the hecklers, man. I would rather do something badass on the road than at home, because I love shutting up hecklers. Or just egging them on, especially being in the outfield. Like, dude, all they would do is just yell at the back of my neck. So, like, dude, like, that's who I got close with. I got close with the hecklers. So I would turn around and, like, say I would catch a third out. Like, dude, I would go and toss the ball to the loudest heckler. And, like, sometimes like, they became fans that way. Not like I care. Like, I'm just there doing my job, granted. But, like, dude, I was enjoying that. Like, dude, I like the camaraderie with the opposing fans. That was my favorite part of playing the outfield.
Well, it's funny. You reminded me of a quick story. I mean, years ago, we're talking 1988. I'm a Cubs fan, but I was at a Sox game, and they were playing the Red Sox. And for some reason, I was on Daryl Boston all day. I have no idea why. And then he hit a home run, and we actually had real close seats because it was the first game of the doubleheader. And he just kind of walked up to me and he said, "I hit that for you."
Oh,
And-
nice.
and I was just
Nice.
sort of like, okay, great.
Hey, he's a nicer guy than I am, because it got to the point where I was just so like, dude, like knowing, like, especially for me, once I got later in my career to where I was older, like I didn't belong at double A at 28, like 29, like, but it was the opportunity that I had. So I was doing the most I could with it. And I remember I was in Hartford, and it was their first year moving the team from New Britain, hard-hitting New Britain, which I was a Rock Cat, by the way, in the last year. But I remember they were just on deck. Like a lot of these ballparks now, especially the minor league ones, are so cozy, and the on-deck circle is like right by the fans. Like, you know, those box seats, dude, they put them right there a lot of times. And so they're always in my ear on right by the net. And so, dude, I was just getting worn out. And I remember the pitcher, I think it was Jack Weincoop, dude. I took his ass deep so far to dead center. This is a fun fact. This is in Hartford Yard Goats, okay? I hit one dead center, went over the 42 sign, shout out Jackie Robinson. It hit a guy that was petting one of the goats and broke his collarbone. Yeah, they thought they were safe and putting it behind dead center with like a 20-foot wall. Nah, bruh. And it was the last homestand of the season. Got him, dude. Broke a guy's collarbone. Dude's at a minor league ball game. They said a fan's a goat. Minor league ball game, petting a goat. Then all of a sudden you get hit with the ball. Like, man, you can't make that stuff up.
You certainly cannot.
Can't make that stuff up.
Jeremy, while we're talking about the GOAT, John sent us a question in advance. John was asking if you've been watching The Last Dance, and is Michael the GOAT, or would you take Kobe, LeBron, or somebody else?
Oh, it's MJ. Yes, I have. It's MJ. Yeah. It's for me, it's MJ, and then everybody else. I take LeBron second. What he's been able to do off the court as well, and the fact that he's been able to win in multiple places. I don't know if guys realize how hard that is to win championships in different places. Like, that doesn't happen. That doesn't really happen in the mini sports. Like, that's a GOAT thing to do. Like, Peyton did it. Tom Brady's trying to do it. You know, like baseball. You see it with pitchers. Pitchers will do it. I'm trying to think who's done it in baseball recently. I'm trying to think all these guys that have won. Even like Cano hasn't won since he left. Astros, who won elsewhere. It really is a rare thing in baseball for people to win in different places. You don't see it. You really don't.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Lackey. I have one of the. Are you familiar with GIFs?
Oh yeah.
So you just, when you get a chance, look up John Lackey fun GIF.
Okay.
It is hilarious, dude. Hilarious. It's him saying the F word with the when he's with the Angels, and it puts on the screen "fun" with an exclamation point. It's so great. It's so great. Fun fact: John Lackey was an All-American shortstop at Grayson Community College. Because I played when I was at San Jack. Actually, Brandon Belt was my teammate. Name drop. Let me pick that up. There we go. Put that in my pocket. We see on the outfield wall, like All-Americans and John Lackey. And I'm like, John Lackey went here. This place sucks. They're like, dude, who's All-American shortstop? Fun fact. Yeah.
Well, how about another question from the chat? Michael asked, Julio Cruz was an undrafted player who advanced to the majors back in the 1970s. Can an undrafted player make it to the majors in this era?
Dude, yeah, but odds of it happening are very, very slim. He's not going to be provided the same opportunities as a bonus baby, but yeah, it can absolutely happen. It has to be a perfect storm of opportunity and just somebody giving them a real shot. And that's the hardest part. I see so many guys that are talented that from the moment they're drafted, they never get a real shot strictly because they were like a senior sign or something like that. There's nothing invested in them. That's the biggest hurdle for somebody, is the team not having anything invested. Therefore, a lot of teams aren't going to be willing to bench guys they have more invested in to play some guy that they just gave a plane ticket to. but it is doable.
Okay. The exception to the rule, for sure.
Yeah, dude, the exception to the rule is anybody making it, to be honest.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, like your best bet is being a relief pitcher, and then besides that, it's basically a crapshoot.
And being a left-handed relief pitcher, too.
Yeah, I'd say that. It didn't work out for me, but it's worked out for other guys.
Well, how about back out to the crowd? Any other questions you'd like to ask directly? You can unmute yourself and ask.
Who's the most famous batter that you have faced that ended up in the major leagues?
Ooh, okay, famous batter. Oh, you know what? Actually, I struck out Joey Gallo. I came in. This
Okay.
was, oh yeah, dude, I owned him. So I came in, dude.
Oh,
When
I think he wants
especially,
to join the chat now. No, sorry.
oh, dude, it's all good, dude. I gotta taste myself real quick after that. That's what that is. But yeah, so it was Joey Gallo. I want to say it was in 14. So that was the year. That was the year that I told like that the A's sent me back to high A to pitch, and then I told them screw that halfway through. Well, basically, I told them after the All-Star break, I went home and I told my pitching coach, I'm like, yeah, I'm not coming back. and so then they ended up sending me back to Double A to finish out the season back in the outfield. And it was towards the end of the season. Everyone strikes out Joey Gallo. Yeah, I get that, Peter. But who comes in from right field in extra innings and strikes him out with high freaking cutters, 3 pitches? Let's go. Dude, John Lester? Yeah, but John Lester's made 100+ million, not me. Oh, dude, I got his ass too. I threw him high cutters right at the letters. Got him, dude. Got him. 3 pitches. Oh, dude, he didn't have a chance. Didn't have a chance. They saw me come in from right field, and so they're like, "Oh man, here we go. It's time to tee off." Nuh-uh. But yeah, by far, dude. By far, it was him. I did give up my fair share of homers. I gave up a walk-off, actually, when I was with Boston, came in and pitched in an emergency situation. But it was also my 4th up. So, yeah, I'm okay with that. I ended up coming in, and I came out for my 4th inning in Reading, which is a crackerjack box. And it was a lefty. I forget who it was, but, dude, he got me. As soon I threw him a cutter, started inner half, broke right in the middle. And as soon as he hit it, I just walked towards our dugout. Yeah,
Well,
definitely Gallo.
Okay. Well, one of the questions I do like to ask, just because with SABR, historic preservation is definitely part of what we do. Is there a famous game from the past that you wish you could have been a part of as a player or as a fan? Just something to witness from some time at any point.
Oh man, I just have to say, I'd probably say game. Man, when Luis Gonzalez got that little squibber up the middle, that one.
Okay.
That one or Marlins Indians. Like, oh my God, with was it Renneria and Council? Like, dude, those games, like those are the ones I fondly remember in the World Series. Like, oh, dude, and those I haven't like dove back into watching those yet. Like I will later when I'm really like jonesing for something. I'm not there yet. But those, man, if I could be in the seats watching those games with those players, oh, I'd be in baseball heaven.
Okay. Well, it looks like Michael, you're unmuted. So do you have a question?
Sure. Thank you so much. Jeremy, there's an ongoing issue about the number of African Americans playing Major League Baseball. I'm in Chicago, and I know for a fact that there are many African Americans who are simply playing more basketball and football than baseball.
Yep.
Has that been your observation, or is there some other factor why more African Americans are not playing Major League Baseball?
It's opportunity, man. And even I was very fortunate to have my dad be a 2nd-generation ball player. So I was granted opportunities. A lot of people that look like us were not granted. So I got a pass there. I was able to get the exposure that I needed. Dude, scouts aren't going to inner cities to look at guys. The RBI program, yes, they pump money into it, but it's not the answer. It's not the solution. It's part of it. But man, there's no gratification in baseball. Like, I don't blame these kids for just getting a pair of sneakers, getting a basketball, and going to hoop somewhere. The competition in baseball, like Ryan said, you're playing, so everybody, like in the stateside, everybody, you have all our studs here. Once you get to the next level, like next level, I mean being professional, dude, you're inundated with all these Latin American players. Like that's a whole thing in itself. But even getting to that point, like I'd say organized ball up to like high school, you just don't see it. The access to baseball just isn't there. Basketball and football, the access is there. The equipment is so expensive for baseball. You outgrow stuff so quickly. Like, there's really just not much incentive for especially inner city kids, for black kids, man. There's no incentive to play baseball. Why would you go play baseball, a sport that historically that you're not going to be provided the same opportunities as somebody of a different skin tone, then go and play a sport to where you might be favored because of that? That's just the reality of the situation. And honestly, if I could do it all again, if I had better knees and not my dad's freaking exhibition stadium knees, I would have 3,000% played basketball, because you have the instant gratification. You can actually go to college and not have to pay an arm and a leg. You get probably paid to go to college. And on top of that, when you get drafted, you're not having to you're not having to work up a freaking 18-foot totem pole. You maybe go to the G League and then you go to the league. Like, just the opportunities for these other sports are a lot greater in inner cities than baseball. And to change it, man, I hate to say it, it's just not set up that way. It's not set up that way. These are other sports to where they're promoting individuality, like all these NBA stars, like LeBron doing the thing with former President Obama. I don't know if you saw that, congratulating the class of 2020. You don't see no baseball players doing that. You don't see Major League Baseball doing that. It's archaic. Like, these kids are trying to be like their idols, and their idols are on TV, but their idols are like LeBron. Their idols are, rest in peace, Kobe. Like, it's not Mookie. It's not Junior. It's not Barry Bonds. It's not the Big Hurt. It's these guys that are put in front of them, the guys that these leagues promote. Like Lamar Jackson, the NFL's promoting him. Like, stuff like that, dude. The MLB ain't promoting Mookie. Mookie should be a household name. He's not. Like, right. It's not. Like, there's so many layers to it. It's so systemic that, man, I hate to say it. I just don't think – I just think I wouldn't say it's a lost cause, but it might be too far gone at this point. The numbers are trending downwards, lower than they've ever been. And being in the organizations dude, I was discriminated on just for my appearance all the time, dude. I would get coaches just talking to me differently just because I'm black. Like, why would a kid sign up for the opportunity to make not that much money starting out to do that? Like, I wouldn't. When you could just go, save up money, go buy a pair of LeBrons, get a ball, go out to the park, and you're good. You can keep doing that and pay for your college. Like, baseball's a hard sell for a lot of brothers, man. I hate to say it. It's a beautiful game, but it's a beautiful game, but man, like, where's the place for it in the inner cities? Where's the urban place? Like, even in the inner cities, man, where's the place for it with us? I don't see it anymore. I hate to say that.
So basically, a D1 scholarship playing at Kentucky, where you get first-class hotels, is probably a more attractive option than sitting in a bus, rolling in a bus to Davenport, Iowa.
Yeah, absolutely. And like, the thing is like, when you talk about a D1 opportunity, dude, we got to talk about, like, okay, college scholarships. I forget how many it is. They have to split between the baseball program has a split between players, but it's like 14. I forget how many it is. 12, 11. 11. There you go. It starts with that.
35 players, 11 scholarships.
Starts with that. So everything we do is like to talk about planning for college. Why would you plan to have to spend a ton of money that you're going to owe the rest of your life probably with student loans to go play a sport where you're probably not going to be afforded a real opportunity based on your appearance? Most cases, especially college, based on your appearance, as opposed to going to a sport that where it's predominantly guys of a certain color, to where you are not going to be persecuted like by the people within the sport. They got Donald Sterling out of there so quick in the NBA. You know, the owner of the Clip, they got him out of there so quick. Meanwhile, baseball, like you have what, like less than 8% black in the big leagues now. Like there's a reason. And it really, for me, I just don't see a way that they can turn it around without enough showing of the players that we do have. They need guys to stand up and be a voice to show that it's okay to be yourself. It's okay to be cool. Like you can be yourself and still be a baseball player. You can have fun and still be a professional. It's not all this blue collar crap. No, it's a freaking kid's game. Have fun, do your job, ball out, be a badass. Yeah, Tim Anderson. Tim Anderson's the one guy, but like, look, the guy does his thing. He plays hard, and then like the bench is clear because he wants to enjoy what he does. Like it's a joke. There's just like baseball is trying to move on, but it's also anchoring itself down. Like you have a lot of a prime example, a lot of these pitchers, starting pitchers, and I will say they're like, oh, don't show me up, get down the line. Dude, shut up. If that guy hits a home run off of you and pimps it, I guarantee you if more guys do that and you just let it go, more guys are going to be making more money because it's going to make the game more relevant to a larger demographic.
Yeah. Well, I could certainly relate in Chicago, you know, being a Cubs fan, it's, you know, everybody starts to look now to Javi Baez, and he's making the game fun again. You know, it's not the kind of the old traditional, just do your job and move on. So excellent. So I know we're running really short on time, so I certainly thank you for taking an hour out of your day. So this might be the last chance if somebody wanted to open up, ask a question.
I just had one more.
Yeah, absolutely.
Do you have any good stories about, did you get to travel with your dad to major league games?
Man, okay, so most of my stories with my dad, especially that I remember, are when he was coaching, especially with Seattle in 98 and 99. And you got to remember, that's a team with Junior, A-Rod, Buhner, Edgar, the big unit. David Segui was the first baseman. You had, Jose Cruz Jr., I remember he was there. Like, dude, David Bell, Joey Cora, like guys like that. I remember being in the clubhouse at the Kingdome, and I used to always just be in there, and Junior was my guy, dude. Like, our families have known each other for the longest time, especially since he robbed my dad that home run at Yankee Stadium. So, dude, I would go hang out with him in one of his 3 lockers in the corner. And he had a recliner and he had a TV up there. Remember, it was a CRT, like, you know, and he would have this Nintendo 64, and he would play, like, I would play with him in his own game. Yeah. Like his video game, and we would do that. Like that was part of our routine, dude. Like I would play him in his game. Like that was the coolest thing. I used to love like going to the ballpark every day. I was like 10. So man, of course, like it was summertime. I didn't have school to worry about. I used to go to the ballpark and play King Griffey Jr. in King Griffey Jr. baseball. Like I'll never forget that stuff, dude. Never.
It's fantastic. So great. Any other questions or?
Oh man, hey, Ryan was asking, what was it like to play Griffey with Griffey? Oh man, I will say he was pretty good, but he couldn't beat 10-year-old me. Like 10-year-old me had that Nintendo 64 on lock, bro. On lock. Oh, I would hustle him in his own game so much. And then he would go out and just do what King Griffey Jr. did in real life and ball out. But yeah, I got him.
Excellent. Well, thank you so much. I certainly can't wait for that book to come out. Just some of the stories we got today. I certainly hope there's a chapter on this little chapter.
And I didn't even get into Ricky.
When's part 2?
Oh man, I need 2 parts just for Ricky. Hey, but anytime, guys. I really enjoyed being here with you guys. Hey, a lot of great questions. Thank you all.
Hey,
Perfect.
Jeremy,
Thank you.
I was just going to say, for folks who didn't join for the pregame, Jeremy's going to become a dad, I think you said in August, right?
Yes, I am.
Yeah, post some baby pictures online, man. Good luck with that. That's awesome, man.
Hey, I appreciate it. And like, I'm always down to talk baseball with people, especially while I'm streaming video games. FlankThomas.com.
I was going to ask what that was.
Oh yeah, Flank Thomas. It was I use it as my video game name because like when I'm playing games, I like to flank people. Great play on words. I'm not the big hurt. I'm not the big skirt. I'm flank. By the way, that's a nickname that I don't know if any of you guys have heard about, but that one was thrown around by some of his former teammates. The big skirt.
Oh,
Oh, that's part 4.
There's like a mini series we've got going.
Oh yeah. Hey, the big skirt won a ring though.
yep.
True.
Yeah. Oh man, it's been great with you guys.
All right. Thank you very much.
Take care, everybody.
Right.
Bye-bye.
Thanks.